Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of my Birth by Sleep video and by extension a 0.2 fragmentary passage story summary. If you missed part 1 then I suggest you go and check that out before this one, or you're going to be just as lost and confused as this poor specimen over here who, coincidentally, is the first character we're going to be focusing on. So Terra, after being confronted by Aqua for doing things he wasn't supposed to do, gets a little red in the face and strops off, saying that this incredibly untrustworthy grandfather is the only person he can trust.
Gold star.
He then comes face to face with an individual who would eventually become the nobody known as Zigbar from Organization 13, his actual name being Braig. He tells Terra that he's kidnapped Xehanort, and Terra, being Terra, decides to check if this is true. In a pretty comical turn of events, it looks like Xehanort requested to be tied up like an old 1880s maiden on a train track, and somehow Terra believes that a Keyblade Master could be restrained with a few measly chains. I think we all know that at this point, Xehanort has a tendency to be a bit of a liar.
Terra, trust me, heroin's fucking great. Just take a quick poke and get it over with.
I inject the heroin.
Oh no! It looks like Anakin Skywalker succumbed to that cheeky Senator Palpatine's whispers and used the darkness that resided inside of him. Guess he won't become Master after all.
Master Terra.
Well, egg on my face. So this conversation is fairly interesting as far as, well, villain speeches go. See, Xehanort brings up the compelling argument that light and darkness are a balance, and that light is tipping that scale. Ericus especially, since he is the coin flip version of Xehanort. Xehanort is deep in that darkness hole, whereas Ericus is so far into the light that it's blinding him, seemingly forgetting that light begets darkness. And I've always been a sucker for that kind of stuff, when leaning too hard on the holy side of a faction brings you straight back around into doing unintentional villainous deeds. It's a shame then that despite this interesting conversation, the things that Xehanort does in this game and other titles paint him as nothing more than a chaotic antagonist, who I feel nothing but a want to defeat. Maybe there's going to be an unsung goal of his that'll make me pity him a smidge. But as for now, well, he's still a fun villain. I'm not kidding, he has that whole Palpatine vibe going on where it seems like he's having way too much fun being the bad guy. Gotta respect a man for getting into the role that much. Keep it up, fam. Oh yeah, Aqua hits Vanitas around a bit. Oh, I like a good giggle. The next crucially important moment someone wanting to understand the story needs comes when Terra accidentally finds himself on Destiny Islands, the origin of the Palpu fruit, and of course, Riku and Sora. Terra finds himself chatting to the younger Riku talking about how he'd love to get strong someday so he can leave the island, like another kid did a long time ago. Oddly enough, as he says this, he sees the form of a man we'd come to know as Xehanort. Terra then does something which I know is not meant to come across as creepy, but oh dear. He extends his Keyblade and asks that the little boy touches it. This, of course, means that in the future, Riku will inherit his Keyblade, in the same way that Kairi will eventually wield Aqua's.
You gotta keep this a secret, okay?
Otherwise all the magic will run off.
Aqua also has a short meeting with the two children. However, her response boils down to, aw, what a cute couple of characters. I have a feeling they're going to be fantastic protagonists of a franchise called Kingdom Hearts, copyrighted by the Disney Corporation, directed by Tetsuya Nomura. Meanwhile, Ventus has landed on the Keyblade graveyard, finding an injured Mickey. This is where Xehanort appears to Ventus and reveals his master plan. His goal all along was to have Ventus and Vanitas clash in combat, one side of pure light and the other of pure dark, in order to create something called a Keyblade. Now, because this is going to get insanely confusing if I keep referring to it as that, this symbol is pronounced as Key, meaning death. However, even Xehanort mentions some pronounce it as Kai.
Why didn't you just go from that from the beginning, you rancid old shit?
So, to make things easier for everyone, I'm going to refer to this weapon as the X-Blade. Please keep in mind that whenever I say X, I actually mean key. Why? Fucking why? Xehanort brings up the fact that Master Ericus knew all along that Ventus could have the potential to create this weapon if he fell into the wrong hands. So, out of fear, he kept Ventus safe in the land of departure, not allowing him to grow stronger. Ventus, realizing this is truth, flies off to confront the Master. Xehanort then informs a newly arrived Terror about the past events, however he spins the lie that Ventus had fury in his eyes, implying he might kill Ericus.
Ventus, you're alone? I thought Aqua would... I had the chance to stop him and couldn't do it. But but I will not fail again.
Excuse me.
I guess Xehanort was right about this guy? So instead of requesting he stay locked away on the land of departure after finding out about his origins and a potential to be turned into an X-Blade, the first thing this paragon of good and light decides to do is murder this small boy in cold blood.
Gold star.
Now whilst he's doing this to prevent another Keyblade war, something which Xehanort brings up in a flashback scene where he claims the X-Blade needs to be forged in order to sate his scientific curiosity about how epic it would be if this mysterious Keyblade war would occur again. It still seems fairly rash. I even defend Terra when he jumps in to defend Ventus, because Ericus doesn't even bother explaining to him why he's trying to destroy him. He instead fingers his Giga Brain and decides the best thing to do is murder both of them.
I can't believe you've done this.
I understand that Ericus is doing this for the good of the light, smiting down a potential apocalyptic weapon and a pupil who now wields the power of darkness with no willing restraint. But you're a big boy with facial pubes. You can use your big boy words to communicate with people instead of resorting to wiping them from existence. You are a silly, silly man. And oh, whoopsie, it appears you didn't think this through very much and now you're dead. You are a silly, silly man. So yeah, Ericus in his final moments realizes that he may have not been as good as he thought he was, and perishes with the knowledge that his final seconds on this world were spent trying to decimate his two idiot sons. He then passes away into the life stream to reconnect with Grimoire Valentine, fucking Azure the Cerulean. Xehanort then pops up like a teleporting drug dealer, telling Terra that sure, the first time he used the darkness was free, but now that shit's gonna cost him.
You're my bitch now, Terra, my lad. And I'm going to kill your friends in real life to show you how serious I am. Also, fuck your home. Fucking blow it all up.
After destroying the land of departure, Xehanort threatens Terra to travel to the Keyblade graveyard, where he's planning on destroying Aqua and Ventus, in order to fill Terra's heart with darkness and snuff out any light that dwells within it. And after Aqua is informed by Yen Sid that Terra and Xehanort violently bludgeoned her master and father figure over the head with giant keys, she too heads towards the Keyblade graveyard for a final confrontation. At this stage of the game, this is where everything starts to connect, and in some cases, when you actually think about it, don't connect as well as I think Nomura wanted them to. The best thing about this whole confrontation is Terra dropping a few magical words that I think everyone wanted to hear.
I was stupid and helped Xehanort do it.
Like music to my ears. And giving Aqua the peace of mind that she was indeed completely right to follow him and make sure he wasn't doing ridiculously stupid shit. It's almost as if he notices at this point that grabbing the electrocuted cheese after the 10th time won't stop hurting him. He has now evolved past the intellectual level of a brick and now rivals that of a common household mouse. No offense. Ventus then breaks into the scene, and instead of a simple hello, he decides to drop this bombshell.
Xehanort wants me and Vanitas to fight. And make some kind of Keyblade.
Now, if you were playing Ventus's story first, then this particular line wouldn't come across as jarring and strange. However, if you were playing Terra or Aqua, then Ventus coming in and dropping this out of nowhere is incredibly confusing. I know that the entire point is to make you curious about Ventus's playthrough, to figure out exactly why and how he became part of an X-Blade. But in the context of this scene, it's just so out of nowhere, and like, why aren't Terra and Aqua questioning any of this? A what blade? You're what now? I have to kill you? Excuse me?
Fuck is an X-Blade?
It's at this point where Xehanort gives us a brief explanation as to what this entire area is, and how it came to be littered with powerless Keyblades. A long time ago, in a mobile game that is actually somewhat decent despite the garbage filler content that is obligated to be in there. Keyblade warriors of light and darkness clashed in what the Master calls the Keyblade War. These Keyblade warriors gave up their lives in order to discover the most powerful Keyblade of them all. And that Keyblade is something which Xehanort can very soon have in his possession. And so, the final fight begins, all three of the Keyblade wielders attempting to take the Master down. Their efforts seem to be in vain, as Xehanort grabs little Ventus, who seems to be doing a solid impression of the old man's fucking fingers.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Unimpressed of this funny little jiggle, Xehanort initiates a
Deep freeze!
on our poor baby boy, causing him to plummet back down to Earth where Aqua catches him, albeit a little clumsily. Xehanort then grabs a copy of the game from a nearby shelf and has a good read. Upon realizing this cover has the word Kingdom Hearts on it, he slaps his big bald head and summons it out of nowhere. Because this wouldn't be a Kingdom Hearts game without the bloody thing floating there in the sky with no explanation for its origin. Meanwhile, Terra is the first of a trio to properly engage with Xehanort, taking on both him and Vanitas at the same time. Vanitas taking off midway to deal with the rest of Xehanort's plan. Meanwhile, Aqua, dealing with a frosty boy, encounters Braig for the first time. In this encounter, however, it looks like he's undergone a bit of a mysterious transformation, adopting the trademark yellow eyes of Master Xehanort himself. At this stage, he serves as little more than a distraction. In fact, his entire role in this game feels so tiny and insignificant that when I first played this game, I was wondering why they were setting up Xigbar or Braig to be more important than some of the lesser organization members. He's just a fool who's obsessed with the power of the Keyblade. But as it turns out, this was definitely setting things up for the next handheld title, and that maybe Nomura actually plans ahead further than we previously thought. With his distraction played out, Braig flees, allowing this little rascal to give Aqua a nasty bruise on the head. His goal by doing this is to pressure Ventus to unleash his rage out on Vanitas, thus forcing both Keyblades of pure light and darkness to clash. Vanitas explains to Ventus, who is finding out for the first time that the unversed come from his evil twin, that the creatures were created for the sole purpose of training Ventus to be a worthy opponent, someone who wouldn't crumble in a battle where he didn't need to hold back. Due to the strain of combat, we finally get to see Vanitas unmasked, revealing Sora. Now, you see, things like this are why people have such a hard time understanding Kingdom Hearts stories, or perpetuating the idea that Nomura's storytelling is completely nonsensical, because at this point it's definitely become somewhat of a meme in regards to this kind of shit. But speaking honestly, I feel that most all Kingdom Hearts games have stories which are easy enough to grasp so long as you play each game in release order. I think a better word than confusing is annoying. Yes, Vanitas resembling Sora is fairly confusing at this point. And no, he isn't actually Sora. However, at the end of the game, we get a vague explanation as to why Sora resembles him. Everything is explained. The issue is that a lot of it feels needlessly put in there for the sake of a twist. Vanitas looking like Sora wasn't exactly needed in the grand scale of things. It exists only for us to go, why does he resemble the boy? But we didn't need an explanation as to why Vanitas and Sora are connected facially, because that's really stupid and pointless. Instead of rubbing my chin with intrigue, I instead find myself saying, I am going to violently spray shit, I am so confused. Maybe this is more of a personal pet peeve. Maybe other people can deal with twists for the sake of twists, but I can't help but roll my eyes as I continue down the roller coaster tracks. So with all of that done and the origin and purpose of the Unversed explained, Vanitas claims that his body is beginning to perish, and it'll mean that he has to fuse back with Ventus, forcing the X-Blade to be forged. Meanwhile, Terra is being prodded by Xehanort with a long stick, trying to coax our silly little friend into using darkness, like he really wants him to unleash the beast on this one. And Terra, now knowing that he's been played like a fool throughout the entire game by Bad Grandpa, decides the smartest thing to do is to unleash the darkness within him, essentially obeying Xehanort out of anger. You were really not a good teacher, were you, if you screwed up this bad? You're so pretty. Shortly after, the explosion of the forging X-Blade distracts both Terra and Xehanort from their duel, and Xehanort reveals the biggest revelation of them all. You see, it turns out that Xehanort wasn't licking his lips at dear Ventus over here. Oh no. He was in fact patting his tummy, getting ready to vore the sweeter meats. Yes, by fattening Terra up with that delightfully pungent darkness will allow Xehanort to unlock his heart and use Terra's darkness-infused heart as a vessel, essentially taking over his body and mind, even going as far to change his appearance. This reveal is actually a good way of delivering a twist, because it shows us how Xehanort can be old in this game, but for some reason in the future would appear to be much younger. This Xehanort is actually this Xehanort, possessing the body of Terra in order to extend his life and replace his frail, deteriorating shell. As his heart enters Terra's body, he dons his armor just as the change occurs. Pieces of it fall off, revealing that it was actually a portable tanning salon, showing Xehanort in his new, hot model. But in a surprising turn of events, Terra has his one shot at doing something legitimately fantastic.
And all it took was shutting his big fucking mouth.
This is the origin of Lingering Will, the special boss fight you can encounter in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. This empty suit of armor, unable to speak, is the last remains of Terra's mind that still cling on to control. Whilst Lingering Will fights against the Body Snatcher, Aqua is ripped back into consciousness, remembering she left her youngest with that really bad influence from across the street. When did you show up? And proceeds to check up on him, completely ignoring this godforsaken monstrosity that Mickey narrowly saves her from. Vanitas and Ventus have now fused into one being, although it looks like Vanitas has power over their general consciousness. With the X-Blade now forged, Vanitas appears to have the upper hand in terms of sheer strength. However, it would appear that Aqua's almighty MacGuffin has choked out another convenient save. Infusing her Keyblade with the power of friendship, oh fuck, I've got a headache, has anyone else got a headache? She rushes the overconfident Vanitas and shatters the X-Blade. Apparently the strongest weapon in the universe is made out of paper mache. In a pretty rad visual where the X-Blade's destruction causes a keyhole-based nuclear explosion, Aqua, Mickey and Ventus are all blown away. And as the explosion continues to grow, we see the Lingering Will kneeling in front of an unconscious Xehanort. The explosion engulfs the two, however when it dissipates, only the Lingering Will remains. The last words we hear from him are that one day, he will make things right again. However, unbeknownst to both Aqua and Terra, Ventus is having a bit of an internal crisis with, you guessed it. It's the same recycled cheese we get in every Kingdom Hearts game about how your friends are your power and how light beats darkness. A potent combination of the two causes the X-Blade to shatter like a polygonal JRPG enemy, and both Vanitas and Ventus turn into beautiful Square Enix particles, the latter sending his heart out to find a certain someone.
But wait! There's more!
Think back to the first video where I mentioned a brain-dead Ventus on Destiny Islands, communicating with something that referred to itself as a new heart. What if I were to tell you that at that point, a small baby still covered in placental mucus would connect itself to Ventus, saving him from having his heart broken by Xehanort at the initial split from Vanitas. This baby that was being pushed from the womb was ya boy, Sora. And so, with his heart sent shooting off into an unsafe dark cosmos, Ventus, with his pre-established connection, ends up mentally communicating with a teeny tiny little baby child, asking to use his heart as a safe refuge, and that one day his heart would be released from Sora, allowing him to rejoin his body once more. This is why Sora's nobody, Roxas, looked completely different from Sora, because he ends up resembling Ventus instead, who was slumbering inside Sora's heart. So what about Vanitas? He resembles Sora because of a connection he and Ventus shared, reacting to him in a similar way that a faceless Shion would adopt the facial features of Kairi. And keep in mind that Sora was at an age where, his physique hadn't even developed. Vanitas was simply aged up to match Ventus, making his appearance resemble that of a teenage Sora.
By Jove, Holmes, you've got it. Thank you.
And so, back to an unconscious Aqua, having found the now desolate body of Ventus, are found floating in the lanes between, where Mickey arrives in the nick of time to whisk them away to the mysterious tower. Upon waking, Yen Sid basically breaks the news to her that Ventus may potentially never wake up in the same way a doctor informs the family of a coma victim. Like,
There's nothing we can do right now, but believe he'll come back. Trust me, everything will be fine. Pull the fucking plug, Mickey.
However, Aqua, now motivated to find Terra and to keep Ventus safe until his sleeping heart is able to return, leaves the mysterious tower, boy in tow.
Ven needs a safe place.
What if Ventus has already been awake for like 10 minutes and he's just too fucking awkward to say anything?
She takes the sleeping boy back to the land of departure, where apparently Master Ericus informed her that there's a special trick that Keyblade Masters have had over the generations in order to keep this land safe. What a coincidence that Ventus decided to choose this world then. She uses Ericus's Keyblade to warp the land of departure into a place that's kept hidden from those who mean to do it harm. This is the origin of Castle Oblivion, and it turns out that all this time, Ventus was the biggest secret kept locked within the castle walls. Finally, using the Wayfinder, she comes across a very confused Xehanort who appears to be suffering from an acute memory loss. After attacking her in his confusion, she begs Terra to return, causing slight remains of Terra's consciousness to fight back. However, Xehanort proves to be stronger and regains lucidity, engaging in a final confrontation. This also marks the first time we get to see the elusive Guardian. At the last moment, Terra uses the last of his will to lock Xehanort's body into the shape of his neutral animation pose. He forces the Keyblade into his chest, causing his body to sink into a pool of darkness. This prompts Aqua to equip her armor and jump in after him. All appears lost, however it's either do or die, and Aqua can't have both of them being lost to the realm of darkness. She hands Terra's unconscious body her Keyblade as she disconnects from her armor and sends it hurtling back to the realm of light. She apologizes to Ventus, saying it may take her a little bit longer to wake him up, as she's finally taken away by the darkness. Birth by Sleep ends with Braig taking Ansem the Wise alongside his apprentices to inspect the strange unconscious man laying on the floor of Radiant Garden, this being the duo's first encounter, and would eventually lead to Xehanort beginning his research into the darkness of hearts. Ansem is all,
Are you sick? What is your name? Would you like a delicious ibuprofen pill?
The man responds with Xehanort, eliciting a chuckle from Braig, who realizes that in the end, it was darkness that finally won over Terra's heart.
Excuse me, young man, but are you aware that this is not actually the end of Birth by Sleep, as referenced by this particular piece of media? Please fuck me.
So, 7 long years passed since Birth by Sleep's release, and Nomura was busy googling his favourite characters, taking a break from the years of work on Kingdom Hearts 3. He rubbed his chinny chin chin as he noticed Aqua's toes was the top search Google result when he delicately tickled A on his keyboard. With a cheeky grin and a twinkle in his eye, he snapped his fingers and exclaimed, "I've got it! A slice of the Kingdom Hearts 3 birthday cake starring Aqua as the main character." Slap it in a 2.8 disc alongside Dream Drop Distance, and bingo. 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, was born. So why cover this now? It's because this concludes Aqua's storyline following Birth by Sleep before the events of Kingdom Hearts 3. And there's so little to cover in this particular chapter that making a separate video on it would be really pointless. Plus, you know, it's extra content, and when I invite my friends to a meal, I want them to leave with their stomachs comfortably full. A very basic introduction to 0.2 is this. Aqua has been trapped inside the realm of darkness for 10 years at this point, after saving Terra's body from being lost to the void. This small chapter shows us a fraction of her journey through the Shattered Realm, and how being exposed to this dark place for so long can fracture and damage even the strongest of hearts. As I'm sure you can tell, Aqua looks practically unchanged after her 10 years within the realm of darkness. Hasn't reached Ara Ara status yet, a modern gaming tragedy, I know. If we look at it like this, we have the timeline of Kingdom Hearts here. Aqua goes missing during the events of Birth by Sleep and stays there going past Dream Drop Distance. However, since time doesn't exist within the realm of darkness, she instead remains in a bubble of timeless space, moving along the timelines never once aging, and barely even feeling the passing of time at all. A single step in this realm could be months in the realm of light. In her travels, she comes across worlds that the trio ventured through in Birth by Sleep, taken by darkness. Of course, there are Heartless here, and this is where we got our first taste for the gameplay, which I'll move through swiftly because I'd want to go into further detail comparing it to Kingdom Hearts 3's gameplay in a future video. Long story short, it's Birth by Sleep in a gorgeous new engine. Some things have been tweaked, some things which I'd rather prefer gone have sadly remained. Magic feels like you're pissing raw power into your enemies, and of course, this is also very good. It has now ascended beyond being a simple demonstration into a blessing from a divinity. But perhaps we should move on for Meow. She continues her slow straight line through the realm, occasionally coming across strange apparitions resembling Terra and Ventus, and at one stage even confronting herself, a side of her that has been manifesting in the darkness, feeding off her misery and isolation. The apparitions of Terra and Ventus cause her to lose her composure at one stage and rush off after them, encountering a version of Darkseid which for once has different interesting mechanics, which for me at least made him feel like a menacing presence once again. She eventually catches up with the two phantoms, and it turns out that Terra at least is somewhat real. Keep in mind that since Aqua has no knowledge of what happened outside of the realm of darkness, she is still unaware that Xehanort has complete control over his body. He brings up that she's communicating with the dark portion of his heart, and that she's only seeing him as Terra because it's the best her mind can do to comprehend his form at this point. And that Ventus over there is, well, he's just kind of there. He warns her that Xehanort is trying to track down Ventus's location, and Aqua's all, haha, fear not, I'm pretty good at the hide and seek. However, Xehanort decides to take over Terra's body at the last second and basically tricks her into admitting his location despite the drastic change of voice actor. Did you think he swallowed a fly or something?
But your heart is just painting the picture that it so wants to see.
This place, is it the Chamber of Waking?
Terra still manages to fight back against Xehanort's control after 10 long years. And I guess his time as a hollow suit of armor gave him a nice long sit on the naughty step because he's all, I fucked up. This ride has gone on long enough. Xehanort played me like a damn fiddle. He's wearing me like a cock sleeve. Ugh. There's a bit of an internal struggle, some might say. Aqua decides to sit back and watch instead of using this fucking thing, and gets pulled even further into the realm of darkness by Xehanort, watching as Terra fights back against his captor. As she sinks deeper and deeper, she's saved by none other than Ricky Rodent, and here's where my real dislike for the Kingdom Hearts version of him begins. Keep in mind, it's been 10 years since Mickey has even spoken to Aqua. At this point in Mickey's timeline, he's around Kingdom Hearts 1. Instead of embracing her, maybe tearing up a little over seeing his old friend, he decides to say, oh, fancy seeing you down here. Like he just bumped into her at a coffee shop after seeing her the previous week. Even after she tells him that the darkness in this place is slowly starting to get to her, essentially saying, I am depressed, he instantly rebuts it with a, you'll be okay. Anyways, don't forget folks, if you're depressed, just go for a jog. Officially endorsed by a happy smiling mouse that is primarily used in children's entertainment. After this, there's a bit of a recap. Mickey fills Aqua and all of the things going on in the realm of light, and informs her that he came to the realm of darkness in order to find the counterpart to the realm of light's Keyblade, the one that Sora owns in Kingdom Hearts 1. Using this Keyblade of Darkness, he and Sora can lock the door to darkness. They eventually make it to the shattered Destiny Islands, where Aqua informs Mickey that she's been here before and met 2 boys. When Mickey asks who these boys were, she answers Sora and Riku. The coincidence of which activates Mickey's almonds, because if Sora's Keyblade was founded on Destiny Islands, that must mean its dark parallel version must be somewhere very close. I guess the coincidence of all this is similar to how a stand user will always stumble upon another stand user? I don't know, the writing of this series is fucking stupid. Aqua and Mickey press on into Destiny Islands, finding a nostalgic place the children once played in, and push open the mysterious door that fans have speculated about since the very first release. Inside lays the Keyblade of Darkness, which Mickey will continue to wield on and off throughout the series. Finally, the duo find their way to the Door of Darkness, where they see Riku rushing towards it, trying to get there in time in order to help Sora close it from the other side. Unfortunately, the dreaded Clemps fanbase is hot on his heels, and it looks like not even Aqua is safe from their overwhelming power and stench. Please don't forget to subscribe. Apparently they were so stinky, they corroded Mickey's shirt away, which is a legitimate thing they included in this chapter to explain why Mickey was shirtless in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Did we really just play a whole demo to find out why a rat has his fucking nipples out?
With Aqua now locked back into the Destiny Islands, she fights back the pursuing foe as Mickey and co lock the door to darkness, making it so the Heartless can't swarm into the surviving worlds. Aqua, having defeated her adversary, lays back onto the beach, as she realizes that Sora has succeeded in his task as the Destiny Islands are restored into the realm of light once more. She sinks back into the realm of darkness yet again, coming to a familiar shore, where Ansem the Wise is there staring out into the ocean, apparently having made it after destroying the fake Kingdom Hearts. Now, I didn't bring up the Blank Point secret ending to Birth by Sleep because the fact they included Aqua even meeting with Ansem is clear that they still hold this moment as canon, which makes it incredibly awkward good because 0.2 messes around with it and retcons a bunch of information. In 0.2, Mickey informs Aqua that Terra hasn't been found in the realm of light, and she knows that Ventus has been locked away and cannot wake up until she comes back. So when Ansem tells her a boy with a keyblade has been going to each world saving them from the darkness, she assumes it's Terra and Ventus, despite Mickey telling her that it was Sora who was out rescuing the worlds.
It's Sora and Riku who've been helping me. If this is where my friends first got the Keyblade, it also must be where we'll find its counterpart.
She even cries in blank points when she finds this out, that the boy who she spoke to on Destiny Islands all those years ago would grow up to be a Keyblade-wielding hero. But Mickey already told her this on the alternate Destiny Islands. Why is it okay to retcon all of this, but for some reason it's still imperative to find out why Mickey has his nipples out?
So all of the work that you put into Birth by Sleep's secret ending, sadly, all amounts to nothing. Returning, dare I say, to darkness.
So I'm stuck in Lugia's stomach alone.
How am I not surprised this video would end up being twice as long as I originally intended? The conclusion to my overall thoughts on Birth by Sleep is a tricky one. I won't ever forget the experiences I had with this game back when I was younger, the joy it gave me, and the memories I still hold dear to this day. But sadly, some memories just don't look great when you're looking at them in HD. Playing this title on a big home console and feeling the PSP's limitations is something I just can't ignore. And whilst I still do enjoy this game on a surface level, I'm the kind of person that understands and accepts that a game I like has flaws upon flaws upon flaws. That being said, if the Kingdom Hearts series has been something you've wanted to marathon, then skipping BBS would be a silly move. As I said, it's not bad, it's playable. I had fun. The story is painful with a single silver lining, and it definitely leaves a sour taste in my mouth knowing that a tiny prequel to Kingdom Hearts 3 would ruin the game's most difficult to obtain ending. Coming up next will be Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. And if you thought Birth by Sleep had a confusing narrative, then I hope you're sitting comfortably, because this is one of the bumpiest stories yet. Right, another Kingdom Hearts game down, only 2 more to go. Gonna use the credits as an excuse to ramble a bit, you know how it goes. Now whilst I said Dream Drop Distance was going to be next, I might make another video on something shorter just to cleanse my palate a little before jumping into another meaty boy. So it may be one or the other depending on how I feel during the script writing process. As always, I need to say a massive thank you to my patrons. Without them you wouldn't be watching the video that's currently playing. So from the bottom of my heart, you guys mean so much to me. If you want to join said patrons, scrolling by on the right hand side of the screen, then the link can be found down below. Please remember to share and subscribe, go check out my Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next video.